Hello again, this is Mark Summers from Summers Technical Services. We're continuing on. This should be, I guess this is the last video on the GD&T assignment. So last step is to create an assembly drawing of our assembly. And so this is the assembly model that we looked at last time. I kind of updated the exploded view. Once I got through the video, I wasn't too happy with what I'd done. So I updated it, and I can, right now it's suppressed. So if I go to the configuration manager, double click on exploded view, it will activate it. And here I went ahead and exploded these fasteners and split lock washer away from the flat washer, so I can have a better sense of the stack up here. And so I can right click on exploded view and animate collapse, and you can see kind of how it sequences everything together. And maybe I could have done a sequencing a little bit better, reorder, change some of the dimensions, but that looks reasonable to me. And it has, I'm going to stop the animation here, it looks reasonable. That the reason we're doing is exploded views, it just helps the assembler see how things go together. So you might argue that we didn't even need to do an exploded view, but you'd have to have a different view to look down to put the balloons on the items that can't be seen in the regular isometric view. So I think having an exploded view doesn't take that long to do it, and I think it's really helpful. So I did it. And so another thing real quick on these isometric views, spacebar gives you the pop-up window for the views. Isometric is the default one, and sometimes the diametric, it's not quite as much of an angle, and maybe you like the looks of that better, so you can do either one. Okay, so now let's do an assembly drawing. So I want to say File, New, and if you don't see these drawing templates from our class, and you still haven't set up the templates correctly, so come see me about that. I'm going to use, this is an inch part, so I'm going to use the inch template, B size, okay, and since I've got the assembly model already open, it's available for me in the window here. I'm going to make an isometric view, and I'm going to place it, and it doesn't explode it for me. Well, I just need to tell Solidworks what I want to do that. So up here at the top, it says show an exploded view, and there it is. So that looks pretty nice, I think. And if I wanted a diametric view, I could do that, I think. And I don't know, maybe that looks better. I don't know which. I'll choose that one. All right, so there's my view, and that looks pretty good. So we won't have any material and finish callouts because all the materials and finishes are already defined in the custom part drawings, and or we're going to buy these parts to part numbers, and so those will be defined. So we don't need note 3, note 4, take those away. Fill out the title block, revision block as usual. So now we need to do two more things. We need to add balloons, and we need to add a bill of materials. So I'm going to go to Tables, Bill of Materials, select the view I want to base the bill of materials on. So I'm going to select this one view I have. These are all kinds of options, and for now, don't be changing the options, but this is extremely useful when you start customizing the way your bill of materials are done on your drawing wherever you're working. And so these are very useful options, but for now we're going to just take the defaults, say OK, and then it asks me where do you want to put the bill of materials, and I think it'll snap nicely to the left, to the right title block. I come down here, it'll snap to the title block there, click, and I'm done. This all happens automatically. The part number comes from the file name of your part number, of your part model. That's why I rant and rave about making sure to use logical file names for your part models, because it uses that information to populate this bill of materials. We don't have to retype that in. These part numbers for these design library parts, I'm not too happy with how those turn out, but for now we'll leave those like they are. These lowercase letters, not right, but leave those like they are. Descriptions, we need descriptions on here, and so the description should be in the part model. So we need to go back to the part model and add a description, because I left those out. So I'm going to say File, Open, and I'm going to find my -01 part. There it is right there, and open it. and I need to add a description to my part model. That part model, that information for the part number is in the file name, and the information for the description of this part should be in this part model. This is the master model. That's where it should live. So to change that, you say File Properties, and you'll get a pop-up looks like this, and you'll find the description. It's already got a property name defined description, and I want to give it a name here. And so I want to call it, we're going to use our naming scheme. I want to call it plate, comma space top, comma space NASA test fixture. So you don't call yours that. You call it whatever you think it is, but pretty much the first word is going to be plate. It seems reasonable to call this one the top plate because the other one's called the plate comma bottom, and this NASA test fixture is something I just made up. So once I say that, I'm going to say OK, file save, file close, and now magically that description is in the title block. So don't double click on the bill of materials and type it in manually because you want that information to live with the part model. And so I'm going to do the same thing for the other part, and this is the one time you'll be able to, you can edit your teammate's part model by just adding this description, so that you can make this change for your team member's part number, and they're going to do the same thing on yours when they make their assembly drawing. So again, File Properties, right here put plate, comma space top or bottom, comma space, what did I call it? NASA test fixture. So come up with a good name for yours. Don't copy mine. That'll be not much fun. Plate, okay, so we'll live with that. I think I spelled it right. File save, file close, and it looks like we're good. So these normally would have descriptions, but we don't have access to modify these design library parts, so we'll leave those blank for now. Now we need to add balloons. So you add balloons, it's extremely easy. You hit the balloon button under annotation, balloon, and the first part is this top plate. If I click on an edge like this, it's going to give me an arrowhead. If I click on a face like that, it gives me a little dot to indicate that it's pointing at that face. So either one, click to place it, click to place the balloon, and say OK. If there's one part, you don't need to add quantities, but if there's more than one part, you need to add the quantity. So that's fine like that. I'm going to do it again for the bottom plate, balloon, and I'll put it right here maybe, and then come down here. That's item 2, and then I'll start adding for these other parts here. So I want to click on this hex bolt here, or maybe I'll click on the one over here. Maybe there's more room over here, so I'll click on this guy here and place him. He's item 6. So I'm going to say OK. I need to get a quantity on here, and so I don't want to type in 2x because if I add another bolt, I'd have to come manually change the 2x. So all I do is select that balloon I just added and turn on this quantity checkbox, and it knows how many are there because it counts them when you put them in here. And the quantities are over here, 2, and it knows to make that 2x. You can put the 2x on the right. You can change the location by clicking these buttons. It makes no sense to put it over here. Excuse me, it makes no sense to put it over there. Put them just to the side of the balloon, so the leader's coming from the left to the right. Put the quantity on the right side there. All right, so now I'm on a roll here. Let's keep going. I'll go balloon. Maybe on this one, I want to turn on, yeah, quantity's turned on. Maybe I'll do an arrow on this one just to show you how it's different. And I'm going to place this, and all of a sudden now I don't like that because now the 2x is on the wrong side, so I'm going to flip it the other way. Whoops, I got to approve that one first. Select it. Should have changed this before I placed it. There we go. That looks reasonable. All right, keep going with the rest of these things. Yeah, I don't need to go anymore. You've got enough of them. So you don't have to put a balloon on this one and this one because this one points to it. Item 6. There's 2 of them. If there were fasteners that looked very similar, then you might want to put a balloon on each one with quantity 1 without a quantity on there. But in this case, a similar can look at it and see that, yeah, this is 2 of them, 2 pins. There's one on the top, one on the bottom. And so for a reasonably competent assembler, I think doing it this way is fine. So again, fill out the rest of the title block, and we can get rid of sheet 2. We don't need sheet 2 right now. The template is reporting this is sheet 1 of 2, but we're going to come over here, and now that we know we're not having a sheet 2, right click delete, and then when you go back to sheet 1, the title block updates automatically, because that's why I created this nice template, so that things like that update automatically. So maybe that's enough for now. Good luck with the rest of the assignment, and we'll see you in class first part of next week.